interesting. Both of them
Mhm.
are very interesting episodes, and yeah,
Yeah.
a year apart as well. So you can see how much
One
has
one year
changed.
apart, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 1 year apart.
Yeah.
As we watched episode 3, which is the end of that first chapter, and then episode
Mm.
4 is the first episode of the new chapter, the next chapter. So they're
Yeah.
a year apart. So it sort of makes sense why they dropped it that way, because the first three
Oh.
episodes were 1 year, and then 4, 5, and 6 seems to be the next year. Like it's like a year after that. Like
Yeah, it's a time skip.
it's a time skip. So it's very, but it's very interesting to kind of watch it this way, because then you go, oh, okay, this is exactly what happened next, like a year later.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to when life gives you tangerines, where there says it's like a time skip between like generations. But this one is actually because it's the 4 years leading up to Rogue One.
Mm.
So each section is the next year
Mm.
until the Rogue One.
Yeah. And it sort of makes sense that, it's taken a year of planning to sort of get to Gorman, like it's not like a quick mission for them. Like this is taking this is going to take a lot longer to stabilize the country to get what they want. So yeah. Interesting.
Mhm.
Like a year after that first meeting when they decided that they wanted to essentially mine Gorman,
Mm.
but it took a year for Cyril to be stationed there.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
To
And
really like establish him, and for him to get close to the rebels. Mm,
Mhm.
that's interesting.
Yep. And yeah, episode 4 seems to have that slower pace again,
Yeah.
which I think for this one is kind of fine because
Yeah.
it kind of set the stage and you get to see a lot of like sort of power plays. Like there's
Mm,
a lot of tension.
mm,
So it's
yeah.
not like the first season where it was like slow, like a really slow
Mm.
burn. This one was kind of,
There's a reason for that. It
yeah,
is
I think there
because
was, yeah, more of a balance.
yeah, and I suppose it makes sense because that the way that they unfold their plan, it's not like a quick mission. It's they're there for the long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're playing the long game in that sense. So we see Lonnie back from season 1, still spying for Luthen, and we can also see that the Empire is really beginning to rub people off the wrong way. Um,
Yep.
Not just in Gorman, but it seems like with those scenes in episode 4, um, that there's been some discontent with the Empire just throughout the galaxy in different places. So yeah,
Mm.
interesting. Hmm. That when Mon Mothma was talking about the crime stats, I found that quite interesting. That even though the Empire was supposed to bring peace and order, it's sort of gone the other way
Yeah.
in terms of um, there's actually more criminal activity, more rebellion from people who feel that the empire is overstepping the mark.
Yeah, because they are.
Mm,
The Empire.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And
the Empire is like just
mm,
bad.
yeah, of course, and you can sort of see that sort of encroaching on people's freedoms, and yeah, and things like the blockade, which had actually happened in Gorman before. So this is not their first sort of skirmish with Gorman in that way. Yeah. and there was like the massacre apparently. So I'd be interested to hear the story, the backstory of that, which they might explore in the following episodes, which we haven't
Yeah.
seen. But yeah,
Yeah, they might actually delve into it.
yeah. So I'd
And
like
the
to see that.
Gorman language sounds like French
It
to
sounds
me.
very French. Yes, like a variation of French.
I
French.
wonder if it could actually be translated, like if it's actually French or just a deviation of it.
Hmm, maybe, yeah,
Someone French might know. We don't.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But interesting, yes, about and the armor in Palmo, which we heard about in that meeting with Krennic. So that's going along, and obviously the people living in Palmo are very disgruntled about it.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mm.
And definitely a lot more rebellion either way.
Mm. And we can see from the town square, the protests sort of increasing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
And Cassian now knows how to fly that TIE
He finally got it going.
Avenger. Yeah.
Cass. Cassian finally got the hang of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was actually a prototype TIE, the TIE Avenger. We thought it was a different TIE, like just a, so yeah, the actual name of it is was the TIE Avenger.
Yeah. That's cool to see that. Yeah. That early version of the TIE fighter. Yeah. And then we eventually, of course, see Luke Skywalker flying that as well. Um, so interesting to
yeah.
see that early version of it. And yeah, cool. Yeah, and Cassian rescuing Vix and Wilmon just in time. Unfortunately, Brasso died. It was sad that he died, but
Yeah, that was kind of sad.
that was sad. But at least he managed to rescue Vix in time.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was great. And we get to see Saul Guerrero again. So I was hoping he'd
Before,
come back.
yeah,
So he has come back. So we get to see him again.
I'm not too sure if that's the same actor though, because he looks kind of different.
Hmm.
And as well, he doesn't have all of that like breathing apparatus thing which he had
Yeah, previously.
in
Interesting.
like
Yeah.
Rogue One. So
It,
is this before he was injured with?
it would have been before, yeah, the injury for sure. Because he looks perfectly fine
Yeah, he
in this
does.
episode. Like he doesn't look injured at all.
Mm.
So it must have been before whatever it was that happened to him. Um, before the events of Rogue One.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're so happy May the 4th now because it's May the 4th.
Yes, that's right. May the fourth with me.
Yep.
May the fourth be with you.
Mm.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. There's an ad.
Mhm.
Well, and
Yep.
Funny how today is, well, Sunday is, May the 4th. So very cool
Yep.
that we happen to be watching it.
oh yeah,
Yep.
Star
Great
Wars Day.
timing. Great
And
timing to watch
yep.
Star Wars on May the 4th.
It's
Yep.
Star Wars Day, yeah. Mm.
Star Wars Day.
And now since we've seen episodes 1, 2, and 3, we could finally get into the Easter eggs,
Yes, let's
Mm.
go for the Easter eggs now.
which is what Marcus has up already.
Yes.
Mhm. So this actually covers last week and
Yeah.
today. Well, one episode from today.
Mm.
The Rakatan invasion.
25,000 years. Wow.
Rakatan invasion. I don't recall this, but that might have been because it was obviously, 25,000 years ago. So, um,
Yes, so it, essentially in the game, the Old Republic, the Rakata were actually a species.
hmm.
Button.
This is probably in Star Wars Legends or something like that.
Yeah, it was probably in Legends.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's not
Legends.
mentioned at all in any of the movies.
Yeah, but
So
mentioned in the game.
yeah, so it's in a yeah mentioned elsewhere.
Yeah, and yeah, the Ricotta homeworld was also one of those hidden homeworlds.
Mm,
The Gorman Massacre from Legends again.
mm,
Yeah, I think it's going into a lot of Legend stuff, which we're not really too, I mean, like not too well versed in.
mm,
Well, it it probably will come up later. Yeah.
Mm.
yeah,
Yevon 4.
Name drop multiple times.
yeah.
Well, episode 2, we got to see him fly away from the rebels.
So yeah, Yavin 4, which is one of the rebel bases.
And then the marriage.
Mm.
Oh yeah, other one. Great.
Yeah, it did remind me of the Padawan braid. Like, isn't it? Like, that she was wearing these braids.
So when a Padawan becomes a knight,
Which usually is like just one braid, not like two like that one.
Mm, yeah.
oh, okay. So they cut it off
Mm,
when the Padawan becomes a knight.
mm.
Interesting.
And that wedding was it, it was sort of like a political wedding.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yes, it's a political alliance. But interesting that tidbit they wrote there that Anakin gave his braid to Padme. Was that when they married as well? I wonder whether that's like a parallel to their own um their own marriage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
although we never saw
Their
it.
wedding.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Although Anakin and Padme's wedding wasn't a full-blown sort of 3-day affair like this. This was a very
Yeah, it
simple
wasn't.
ceremony in comparison, very private ceremony, because
Yeah.
keep it a secret.
And this one, it was swapping between like the wedding party and the battle with the
That's
TIE Avenger.
Yeah, that's a
right.
very interesting. I don't know.
Mm.
Just cutting between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Private wedding. Yeah.
It uses a song from season 1, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I did not
Uh,
notice that.
it's called Nyamos, a remixed version of the song played in Andor season 1.
Yeah,
She has a planet with name with the planet
Mm.
Nyamos.
interesting.
Um, the real life connection to Momo Duff dance scene is chilling. Huh?
I don't know what that means.
What does it mean? Real life Wilmer cabarets?
Ah,
Oh, I don't know.
That's
Interesting.
something we may need to Google.
probably.
Yeah.
So the real life Wilmer cabarets.
Oh, I would say during the Nazi era, when they used to have like swing dancing and cabarets to
Oh,
try to
okay.
get away
German
from the
Reich.
horrors of
Yes, yes.
All right.
war
Decadent events.
and the Holocaust. Yeah.
Mm.
And like there's a definite parallel between
Oh, right. Maybe
the
that's why they were
Republic.
cutting between
Yeah.
the battle and the dancing and music,
Ah,
because it was kind of trying to pretend all was good, all was fine when it
When
wasn't
it
really.
wasn't. That's right.
all right.
Yeah. So who's Darren Mooney?
Darren Moody. Darren Moody.
Well, he may be one of the.
Creators, I think.
Probably. He might be one of the writers.
Yep, writers.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Patient Endor steals a Thai Avenger prototype.
Yep. So it's the very first sort of Thai creation
Hmm.
in canon now.
Yeah.
So before the Thai fighters and other Thai offshoots come out,
Hmm.
like the Thai Interceptor looks actually quite close to this one.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it looked, so familiar, and that's kind of
Mm.
why, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
this one looks more like the Thai Interceptor than the final Thai fighters.
mm,
Mm. The TIE fighter.
Yeah,
mm,
the TIE fighters had like the more square, like rectangular wings, which was like quite
yeah.
weird.
Yeah. Now this
This one is more like sharp, like the TIE
more angular.
Interceptors. Yeah,
Mm. I like the design. I don't mind this design either.
yeah. So I think
Hmm.
in sort of
I
canon,
like the
this
design.
is essentially the first, and then all of the other TIE variants came, like the TIE Bomber and the TIE Interceptors.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm. Understood.
But yeah, this this design looks a lot more like the TIE Interceptor than anything else.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Jabron.
It
Yeah,
is.
because they did steal a
Yeah.
tie
They did the same thing, didn't they? He
in
and Tim
the episode
O'Dammer.
7, Force Awakens.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Mhm.
but that one he actually knew how to fly it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
this one he didn't. This
That's
one
it.
he wasn't able to.
No. He was totally clueless because he didn't know where all the controls were. Yeah.
Yep.
Stardust Insignia. This one, I guess.
Hmm.
Mm.
Code name for the Death Star project. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. That's a
oh,
Death
that's
Star
interesting.
symbol, is
Hmm.
it? Director Krennic.
Of course, the whole thing with season one was about them building all these parts for what would become the Death Star.
Mm.
So, the prisoners were building all the different parts, right?
Yep.
The Ministry of Enlightenment has a dark railroad origin.
Hmm.
Mm.
Again, there's some kind of Nazi
So this is
Germany's
another
parallel.
Nazi sort of connection.
Ministry of Propaganda and Public Enlightenment.
Hmm.
So yeah, some empire
Hmm.
being somewhat based on Nazi Germany.
Mm.
Hmm.
Oh.
Director Krennic refers to Death Star as access to stable, unlimited power.
Unlimited power.
Palpatine did declare it to be unlimited power
Yeah, he shouts it, unlimited power.
before he sends Mace Windu flying out the window.
Yeah.
Loki also did say unlimited power
Hmm.
to the same guy.
Yeah.
Not Mace Windu though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I haven't played any Star Wars video games, but that's interesting if they use some of the sounds.
video game Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was more like the Interceptor. It was like really tight Interceptor
Hmm.
like.
Mm.
News Network, Imperial News Network. It's actually canon. Anyway, it's in
Hmm.
the Star Wars Encyclopedia.
Hmm.
And then Bad Batch Connection,
Hmm.
a summit that is quite different from another scene in Star Wars Bad Batch. Another connection to Nazi Germany. Anyway, clears. Yeah.
Hmm.
Solo, a Star Wars stories range troopers make a return.
Hmm. Hmm. So this is at the beginning when Andor was at the base.
Oh, oh, this was from last week's episode 1.
Yeah, the first episode when he is plotting to steal the TIE fighter.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, Sienna,
Yeah. Mm.
again from
Oh,
episode
Star Wars
1.
Rebels, yeah.
Star
They're
Wars
from
Rebels.
Rebels. Yeah.
There
Mm.
was a Sienna Advanced Project Lab.
Okay, so we've got another connection there. Mm.
You Come More Than You Fear is an Endo Season 1 callback.
Yes, that's right. That's the
Question is the mask of fear.
Mm.
You become more than your fear.
mm,
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
One key line in Endo's premiere Perilous Rogue One.
mm.
You're coming home to yourself. Welcome home.
It's what he says to Jyn Erso, something similar in Rogue One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's not likely we'll even see that as a character.
Mm. I don't think we'll see Jyn Erso in this season, will we? It's too soon.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think we'll see her at all
Yeah.
because they introduced her in
Mm.
Rogue One,
Yeah.
so it's not likely.
Yeah.
Uh Another callback to Rogue One. The word Kefrian is used as a password,
Mm.
which is precisely the location where Endo's Star Wars story begins.
Mm. Interesting.
Hmm.
Mm.
Bix is fixing a evaporator.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Callback to Luke Skywalker himself.
Mm.
TIE Strikers.
I would say that's another type of tie.
Yes. Another type of TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Oh, they TIE Strikers.
Oh, that's another one.
Mm. Very different
I
name.
guess the wings are more pointed outwards rather
Yeah.
than vertical.
And only two instead of four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, only two. Wow, interesting.
So the season 2 opens with a gong. Oh, yeah. Gong of Ferrix.
Mm.
Sound of this gong is a reminder of the legacy and the final message. Fight the
Mm.
Empire.
Mm. Interesting.
Indiana Jones reference in Newton's
Indiana
Gallery.
Jones. Mhm.
One of the fake Holy Grails from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Oh, okay.
Mm.
The sounds and alarm sounds are similar to Rock One
The Last Crusade.
as well.
Mm.
Yeah, sounds. Wow. Yes, especially in this wedding scene, I guess.
Mm.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're bringing a lot of like Galaxy Edge stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot. Mm. A lot of things sound familiar as well. Yeah.
May 29, May 6, May 13.
Mm. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Mm.
we're up to 4.
Yeah.
But they've released up to 6.
Mm. So when we watch 5 and 6 next week, we can also go through
Oh yeah, that's
Easter
true,
eggs
that's true. Yeah.
because we would have finished that chapter too.
Chapter 2, yeah.
Yeah, chapter two.
Yeah. Because we haven't watched 5 and 6 yet because we are behind.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, we're pretty much taking.
I think we'll be like 2 weeks behind essentially
Yeah,
because
we're like
Yeah,
we're only taking 2 episodes at a time. So we'll end up with
2 weeks behind. No.
sessions
yeah
instead
we're
of
doing
4.
6 weeks, whereas
Yeah.
this is 4 weeks. Yeah,
yeah,
If we had more time, we would be able to do 3, But I think it's just because we start
too
much
late. Yeah,
younger.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But I think it's also a bit overwhelming anyway to have like more
Yeah.
than
But
Like
it
that.
is
three
hard.
episodes is like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's hard to give enough time for
it's
each
more than
episode.
2 hours.
You're
Yeah.
doing
Mm.
3,
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
Mm, that's true.
Oh, anyway,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I like both episodes. I like both like the book and episode 3 of chapter 1 and then like the opening episode of chapter 4. So it's an interesting way to view it that way, which is a little bit different
Mm,
to how I guess everyone else might be viewing it.
yeah. Like
Mm,
episode 3 was tough. Like if we watched it all together with episode 3,
mm.
episode 3 was heavy.
Yeah, it's
was
quite a
heavy.
heavy episode and so much tension and much more. Like they definitely ratcheted up the suspense and
Mm,
the action with episode 3.
Yeah, like even with Mon Mothma with the daughters, like
Mm,
that was like a political wedding, so it's not like
mm,
mm. That's
she
right.
she practically gave up the future of the daughter.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't some sort of choice.
yeah. But she really didn't want to do it and was basically saying you can pull out of this if you want. But in the
Yeah,
end, of course, she had to go through with it, really.
yeah, price of the rebellion.
That's the price of the rebellion, essentially. She had to make that alliance because she
Yep,
needed the support
yep,
in the Senate to fight against Palpatine. And we can sort of see her, just even struggling to get the votes.
yep.
Um,
Which is kind of like an old sort of style as well. It's like really
mm,
like in the land of kings and queens and emperors, all that.
yeah.
Yeah, even like Chinese empires
Mm.
had like those sort of political weddings for like power,
There's a lot of power plays I think we can
power
see.
plays. Yeah.
Yeah.
power play. Yeah.
Even
Yes.
within like the empire when they're all sort of jostling for position and sort of, getting the important posts, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because it's like a lot of power plays is like quite archaic,
Hmm.
old, but as well, it's also futuristic because the technology.
Yeah.
Mm,
That is kind of an interesting like mix.
Hmm. That's right.
mm,
And then also the advertising in the series itself. It was like so oldish westernish.
Hmm.
Like it sounded more like a cowboy sort of ad instead of like the futuristic one.
Hmm.
Or like even modern times. It
Yeah.
ads aren't like that. They don't speak like that.
Yeah.
And then this one was like really
Hmm.
old school Western style cowboy like ad.
Yeah. Quite funny in that way. Yeah. Hmm.
mm,
And one of the things I kind of liked as well is that, we get to see, um, I think, a lot more of, I guess, the psychological impact that the rebellion has as well on the rebels, because we tend to see like in the movies it's more like the action sequences, but you don't really get to see the inner conflicts that they have. As I think what was great with the series is that they're able to get into that more.
Yeah, because in the series we
Yeah,
see that they're like fractured. They're not really working as a whole. They're like so many different factions and
there's been,
fractured.
yeah,
They're split,
it
so
really is.
they
Hmm.
don't really have proper leadership. or the leadership that they have is like the few people
Mm,
ahead of them. But then when that person is gone, like what happens? They completely
mm,
are lost. Like Cassian was stuck on that planet for
mm.
with rebels who didn't even know who Cassian was.
Yeah. I mean, I find that interesting that, they didn't even recognize who he was, and even within that, um within their own group, they couldn't get along. They
Yes,
ended up
so it
being divided, then and there,
yeah,
and
so very
Cassian was like,
fractured rebellion. So I think
yeah,
that's what they're showing.
yeah. And Cassian was like, I was stuck here for 2 days with these people who were supposed to be on our side. And
Yeah,
nearly, got killed by them. So, you know, he was in more danger with them than he was with the Empire, strangely enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So I
true.
found that quite an interesting aspect
Mm.
of the Rebel Alliance, that it was really very fractured, and I guess if you're comparing it, like if they're making the parallel between like the Nazi Empire, being Palpatine's empire,
Mm.
and then the Rebel Alliance is supposed to be like the Allied forces, like England, Australia, France, America. And then you think, what was it like on that side? Were
Mm.
the Allied forces always very united, or were they also very fractured? You sort of think, how did they get to work together as well?
Mm.
So it's interesting to sort of see that aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm. So I think, like for me, I really liked episode 3. I'd give it like an 8. That one's definitely an 8 for me. And then with episode 4, it's off to a slightly slower start, but I can understand like the build up. So 7 for that one for me.
Mm. Oh, seven. Yeah.
Yeah. But both very good episodes.
Yeah. Is Bill still there?
Yeah.
Mm.
Probably not.
It, it is episode 3 and 4, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7 as well. I think it was okay. It made me a bit slow, but it showed few interesting
Mm.
characters and planes and stuff. And I thought, yeah, it's really okay. I'll give it a 7. Yeah.
In
Oh,
episode 3.
Yeah, both 3 and 4, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, both 3 and 4.
I think I think I like 3. It
Mm.
being just the end of the first chapter.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I think as you guys have already pointed out, it's
Mm.
probably makes more sense to watch them in groups of 3, right? Three, 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 three.
Mm.
Um, but well, yeah. So I like episode 3 because it's like the climax of the first chapter.
Mm.
Um, whereas chapter 4 is like the beginning of the new next chapter with a 1 year
Mm.
like
A year ahead.
time um gap, right,
Mm.
between chapter 1 and 2.
Mm.
But yeah, overall it's it's still pretty good. I mean, still quite a political show, but it does show,
Mm.
I think it does a pretty good job of showing the price that people have to pay for the rebellion to happen. So
Mm.
that's
Mm.
quite a very, interesting look at how the rebellion is formed.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'll give it a solid like 7.5.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm.
probably higher for episode 3 for now. Maybe a 8 for episode 3 and a 7 for episode 4.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. Interesting.
Yeah. Who else? Jono.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely enjoyed these episodes quite a bit. Ep, I mean, episode 3 was quite solid. Like, it really did like finish off like the first chapter quite well,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was really political at the end as well. But you get to see all the power plays, like the whole like marriage,
Mm.
arranged marriage, and all that, and as well as like delving into harder themes as well. Like the girl was nearly raped.
Mm.
Like what? You didn't really see that in the Star Wars until now.
Yeah.
It's like this is
It,
getting like to the darker side of
yeah.
Star Wars. Like it's
Right.
not like the light side, dark side, it's the cruelty.
Mm. It's like the Imperial forces basically throwing their weight around, being abusive of their power. And you can see why that kind of behavior would provoke a rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's also like yeah, in this it's not like there is really any real proper good guys. It's like probably the bad guys and even worse guys.
Mm.
So it's really, really tough to say who is really in the right here.
Mm.
But then we also see how the Empire works, and they are really, really not not in the right. They,
Mm.
they're like really aggressive. They seem too controlling.
Mm.
Mm.
So yeah, it's kind of tough because the whole rebellion right now is like really fractured.
Mm.
But
Mm.
but then again, like in what we see in Rogue One is we also kind of know that there were so many splinter cells of
Mhm.
rebels around.
Mm.
And technically this does overlap in
Mm.
what happens in Star Wars Rebels because that's also in around the same time frame.
Mm.
And it is still a possibility that we might see some characters from that show as well. Like we have seen some,
Yeah, we've seen a few Easter eggs, so for sure, I think they're gonna bring in some of those later on in the episodes.
yep, eventually.
Mm.
But so far, we'll see how it goes.
Mm.
Episode 3, I'd probably give like a 7.
Oh yeah.
Like how they filmed the whole battle on the planets as well as the marriage. Like that whole switching between the two was
Mm.
a really interesting way of actually framing it.
Mm.
And episode 4, kind of slower again, but there is a lot more political play in this one.
Mm.
So
Mm.
maybe I'd also give it maybe 6 or 7, 6.5.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What was oh
Yep.
yeah, here you go. This was
Okay. Eight for
not
which
eight.
episode was
Oh,
that?
wow. That's pretty high.
Chapter 1, yeah.
Yeah, that's for the whole of chapter
Oh, for
1.
that's entire one, two, three.
They do note that best watch all at once, right? 3 episodes.
Yeah. A bit tough for us to do though.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, but it does talk about similar things we talked about. Struggles of rebellion, deplorable nature of the empire.
Mm.
Mm.
So that's what we are we are getting, the sense of
Yep.
through these episodes.
Mm.
Like just showing us the struggles of the rebellion.
Yep.
Yeah.
What we don't see, in Star Wars Episode 4, because we don't really know how the rebellion came, was formed.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't really just happen. It just
Yeah, there's a long process.
and it's already fractured. Like they are trying to make it connected. Like that's what was that guy's name again? He was really into like creating the rebellion in one whole.
Mm.
Like you even see that he was getting kind of annoyed as well. Like he was the one who originally said like be patient, wait, and but now he's like really more aggressive. Like we need it now.
Mm.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
So
The guy
Luthen has
said
become
Luton, is
Oh
it?
yeah,
Luton.
yeah,
an issue
Luthen, that's it.
himself
Yeah,
Mm.
because he's finding that they're not acting fast enough to stop
Mm.
the Empire from ratcheting up
yes.
their activities. And they
So
become
it
so much more secretive as well.
yeah, a lot harder now than it was before.
Mm.
So yeah,
Uh, Yeah. There's more of a struggle to get the intel. Like it took 3 months for Lonnie to even find out the information about the secret council because of course it was secret. But he had no idea that Dedra had been working on that secretly the whole time.
Mm.
yeah,
Um,
and it takes time to get that information. But now he's getting like really
mm,
aggressive.
Running out of time.
Yeah,
yeah,
running
running
out
out
of
of time.
time.
Mm,
Kind of sad to see it that how that happens and it plays out like that.
mm, that's right.
Mm.
Mm.
All
But
right.
yeah,
Mm. But yeah, I can't wait to see episodes 5 and 6 to see how things progress from there because it'll be very interesting to see how Andor's mission goes in Borman. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing what he does there.
yeah,
Now,
probably a lot more
yeah.
play with the rebellion.
Mm. Now that
Like I,
Luke sent him off there, new
yeah,
assignment. Yeah.
yeah, and we also have like the AI podcast, which we have been creating.
With
Mm.
Gemini, is it?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Google
Yep.
Gemini.
So that one is actually up to date to the discussion. So the AI podcast would be the whole of chapter one, the whole of chapter two.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Hmm.
But yeah, we'll still be behind.
Mm.
All right.